Everyone's panicking right now. Prices are bleeding, yes, and retail is looking for exits, but this is exactly when smart money is loading up. And if you've been watching my channel for the past 2 weeks, I've outlined this exact scenario on a bunch of altcoin charts as well, which I'm going to go over today, that these are value add areas. This is not when you exit. This is simply when you buy. Taking profit was meant to happen back here if you were interested in taking profit, but not here. This is the time where you add. So I'm going to go over Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a bunch of alt charts like DeFi, AI, and meme, the three sectors I'm interested in this bull run, to outline what I'm expecting next now that we have had this correction. We are currently sitting at 113,000. This could dip to 111, and I would want to see us hold this area and kind of trade around here and then move towards the upside. That doesn't have to happen. And if it doesn't happen, I would expect a deeper correction to about 107 to 106,000. That's the area I'm looking for the next bounce potential. And right now, it's simply too early to tell whether we're going to correct down there. So I would anticipate this area to hold. We'll have to wait and see how price reacts here right now, but I'm not seeing any signs of reversals quite yet. So we still have that $111,000 area to tap. And if we do get a strong reversal out of here, it'll show. But right now, I do think we have a little bit more downside. So still red in the market, and probably for the next couple of days until we get some kind of reaction. I want to see some kind of buy up, some kind of capitulation as people are liquidated and we can begin our move to the upsides. Now, these moves are happening right now are not because we are bearish. They are simply liquidation games. You need to remember, people are playing the leverage game here, which means when we made this move towards the upside here, people began to get really excited and euphoric. So they took longs on leverage with a liquidation price of 115,000, thinking we weren't going to go down there. So that's why this is happening. It's because the market makers can make money on the way up by liquidating people with tight stops and being greedy. And that's simply what's happening. When you see this price action happen, it's not because we are bearish. It's simply because the market makers are being efficient and taking the money out, which is playing a dumb game of gambling. Let's take a look at Ethereum, because Ethereum was taking a hit. I did expect this correction, and I have a line drawn. This is not time-based. This is price-based. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 4 months, but I can sure as hell imagine the price action that'll occur after a move like this. So right now, I had a move towards the upside to about $4,000. Instead, I missed it by about $60. I'm not going to get these things 100% right, but there you go. We got the move to the upside, and I'm expecting a move down to about 3,000 to 2,800 within that range. So I'm going to put a box down here to illustrate that. And right about there, that's what I'm expecting. And then we should get a bounce to take us to $5,000, which is the all-time high, which I expect we are going to have a bit of a range develop like we're seeing on Bitcoin right now, between $4,800 and $4,000, unless we get some major news to actually push us up out of there very quickly. And that would be a lockout trade. So with Ethereum USD, the thing you have to remember is that I've talked about this on the channel before. SBTC is the one that is controlling the price. And when SBTC is in a downtrend, like I have mentioned it is, because you guys can see this trend has held us down for many, many years since 2022. That has not changed. So we are still in a downtrend, though we are getting a nice bounce because we have deviated from the trend since about July 24. You guys can see we dropped about 70% with no bounces. And now I finally got a bounce. Now, the key area for us to hold is this trend line. You guys can see this trend line. When we come back down here, I want to see us hold and continue to hold it and finally break this trend for us to get really bullish on Ethereum. Because what you have to remember is that ETHUSD price is controlled by two things, and that is SBTC, which is the chart we're looking at right now. And the second thing that is controlled by is BTC USD. Now, the only reason SBTC is up to $4,000 and almost the all-time highs is because Bitcoin has pumped it. So Ethereum is simply performing well because Bitcoin's price has gone up. But Ethereum itself has not been outperforming Bitcoin, because you guys can see this chart. We have not been near all-time highs since December 21 or 22 in August. You guys can see that on the chart. This whole section shows you that we have not been anywhere near there for the past 3 years. What gets exciting is that once we begin to get back in this area right up here, Ethereum will probably be at $7,000 or $8,000. Okay, but first, for that to happen, we need to break this downtrend, which we have not done yet. So there is still some work to be done on Ethereum for us to actually get going, but we are getting closer to that time, because this potentially right here, this area is the bottom, as we can see right now, because we got such a strong reaction because of where we are in the chart. You guys can see the previous bottom we had in 2019, we have hit it just now again. And last time that happened, it got us a bull run to the highs of 0.08 on the Ethereum BTC pairing. So until we break this downtrend, I wouldn't get too excited on Ethereum, although it is a good opportunity to get into Ethereum around these prices simply because of this chart. Now, Ethereum is the signal for altcoins. Once Ethereum begins to break out, altcoins will gain more liquidity simply because Ethereum is the signal for altcoins. And right now, if we take a look at DeFi, for example, which follows Ethereum, you can see it's having a correction. And I talked about this correction. You guys can see the lines, you guys can see the boxes. This is the area I'm looking for. And I marked these off on my videos last week. You guys can go take a look at that in as areas of interest, areas of value. So right now, we're looking at about $100 to $95 billion in terms of area of interest for DeFi, and I do think we'll get it. We're about 10% away, and given that Ethereum needs to correct, I do expect DeFi to correct with Ethereum, and then we can begin targeting 183 billion to 200 billion. As you guys can see, the all-time high right there for 2021. I do think we're going to take that out. And now DeFi and Ethereum are performing extremely well, so I wouldn't be surprised to see us rebound off here and begin our move towards the upside. We might range a little bit here, dip one more time, and do something like that, but eventually I do expect us to take out these highs very decisively and head towards the upside. So if you're looking for any DeFi coins to bid, here is my list, a quick look. And I'm very bullish on CRV, very bullish on Aave, extremely bullish on Hype, and all the other coins on here, but mostly those that I mentioned. So DeFi, I think, is going to be a powerhouse going into the late end of 2025. Now, the next sector I'm very bullish on is memes. And memes have made a really nice move towards the upside, took out the highs of May 2025. And you guys can see the two areas of interest I have marked off. The first one was at 69 to 67 billion, and I did bid there, but we broke through it. And the next area I'm looking for value is right there, about 56 billion to 59. So we are getting very, very close. And I do think we'll get this lower end. We simply have more correcting to do. So memes are looking extremely desirable as well as we begin to move towards the later end of the cycle. And memes tend to go crazy towards the later end of the cycle. So memes correcting with DeFi, along with Ethereum, along with Bitcoin, not surprising. It makes sense that they were all correct together. Finally, we're going to take a look at the AI sector, which is bleeding and hasn't performed as well as DeFi or memes. You can see it didn't take out the high of May. It simply matched it. So we might have some lag there, which means we have opportunity. Just because it's lagging doesn't mean it's not going to outperform later in the cycle. I think AI is in the speculation and hype phase as people are looking for use cases. So it's ripe for disruption. And I think we're going to see AI hit the 200 to 300 billion valuation mark simply because OpenAI was valued at $300 billion, which is just one AI company. And I do think the crypto sector is going to reach those numbers because it's based on speculation. Speculation has no top target. So the market has to find it. And that's why I think AI is going to be a great bid this cycle. And as we know, Tau is the leader, and I've been talking about Tau. I have this box right here marked out. This is going to be a value area for me to bid Tau in. I simply think this is a great place because when we take a look at the price action back here during the FUD, we bounced off of it and gave us a nice 60%, I believe it was. If we just measure this area right there, that's about a 50 to 60% move to the upside. You guys can take a look at that. And right now, 337 sitting at that retrace price hitting the trend line. I do think this is going to be a very desirable price for people to bid at and take us to about $500 to $600. So even though the day is red right now, these are the kind of days you want to buy at. You don't want to buy the green because there's less gains to be made. I want you to just, if I measure it from there to the target, 73%. Whereas if I measure it from the bullishness, when we were bullish right here, that would only be a 34%. So it's obviously more desirable to buy at the lows because you have more room to the top. And a couple more things I want to take a look at: Bitcoin dominance and pump fund. So Bitcoin dominance, we talked about it. We have a trend line that we haven't managed to break still. And I had two scenarios lined up. One where we don't break this trend and we head up to 64, 65%, which it looks like is what we've decided to do here. I do think we're going to break down, but we're taking the slower route, which is, let me just unlock this, which is to head towards the top, double test it, and then I think we break down. So that's what I'm looking for right now. We didn't break it on this attempt, which is fine, but I do want to see us break down below here. Otherwise, we're simply going to aim for the top of the range, which I don't really want to see because it means alts are going to bleed that much more. So the reason I have this as the top of the range is that if we go back here, we can see that this whole price action that we've had for the past 7 years has been a range from the bottom to the top, to the bottom, to possibly the top, unless we break down here. So that's the three scenarios I have lined out. Just to outline them for you again, we've got the move towards this top, which is what I think is the most likely, and then we head down, and then we have the move to the top of the range, and then head down, which would be the most painful one. And then we had the one which I thought was the least likely, which is simply breaking down. So right now, it looks like we're going with the correction just at the all-time high right there, about 64%, and then breaking down. We'll have to keep tracking this and watch how it progresses, but that's what we've got right now. So the next thing I want to watch is some altcoins are already bottomed. And as it seems right now, Pump Fund has already taken the beating preemptively since it launched. And as you can see, even though Bitcoin is bleeding and everything else is bleeding, what is Pump Fund doing? It is trading sideways. That is because some coins have already found their bottoms, whereas the ones that have moved towards the upside have room to fall. And some coins don't, like Pump Fund. It looks like it has bottomed because it is green in a sea of red. So coins like Pump Fund, not specifically Pump Fund, I do think have moves to the upside to be had, retraces, and windows of outperformance to be had if Bitcoin continues to bleed. They're far and few between, but I do think on-chain is going to thrive while coins on centralized exchanges do have a harder time to make moves. And if we take a look at Litecoin, one of my favorite coins that I want to take a look at as well, it's also printing some green on the Bitcoin pair, which is really good to see. This is what you want to see in terms of outperformance. So Litecoin is holding very well considering that the market is dumping. So this is going to be holding up the Litecoin pair very well. So overall, guys, not much has changed. The only thing that has changed is the market has given you an opportunity to bid on coins that you want to bid on. This is not a time to be afraid because we are at that point where the market is starting to favor Altseason. Altseason is getting more attractive. And as you guys can see on total market cap, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, we are extremely close to the all-time high, with the all-time high sitting about 1.12. We hit 1.09. And that means once we cross above this section right here, we're going to see large caps go insane. So a lot of large caps in the top 50 are going to start moving towards the upside and outperforming Bitcoin, which means risk appetite will come on for crypto and people will start bidding more and more riskier assets as we enter the late stage and end of this current cycle. So if you guys sat out at the beginning stages of the crypto cycle, that's fine. Where you want to be right now is in the trenches and on exchanges, finding those altcoins that are going to outperform Bitcoin by a wide margin in a short amount of time. There's no better place to be than in the crypto markets during alt season. So that is what I'm outlining here, guys, is that we are close. This is the time to bid. This is not time to be afraid. And I'm just going to keep parroting that to kind of send the point across that you shouldn't be listening to crypto Twitter, because crypto Twitter always gets afraid with every sneeze and every dip because they don't know what they're doing. So with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video and I'll see you guys again on the next one.